Working on Abigail Adams. Abigail Adams. I had three different images. Thankfully, they all came up when I asked my different chat hosts to help me come up with an image. They did really good, and she looks. There's different varying ages, and I thought this was fun. So Abigail Adams is actually the second president of the United States wife. And let's see. Is this going to be one of those I have a hard time starting? I hope not. Um, and so one of them, she actually kind of looks a little bit like George Washington, which was kind of funny. Okay, so I'm going to take this down like that. Work a little on her chin and go up in this direction. Okay, so let me see if I can get her eyes. So her eyes, she's older. I'd say she's about 80 years old maybe in this image. And let's see here. So she does have the older, tired eyes, and I think that's what happens to a lot of older folks. As they age, they get older, tired eyes, is what happens. Okay, so I've got kind of a little line going down in this direction, showing her nose like this. We've got a little bit of a earlobe like that. She actually looks really sad though too, which is kind of interesting in her image. She looks very, very sad. She looks sad and tired. I don't know why Abigail Adams came up, but it just did. Abigail Adams came up. That looks pretty good. And so there's a little bit of shadowing in here. Okay, so we've got her nostril right here like this, showing. Hello! Oh, we've got some... I'm glad you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining me. It's so great to have some company. I think I have this muted. Okay, so let's see who we have in here. Shelby Lombardi, Braylon Gillum. Hello, thank you. I sound like your grandma. Well, thank you. That's a compliment. Thank you so much. I am working on Abigail Adams, and so I asked the this is just history. It's not politics or anything. It's American history. And so I asked Chatbot to help me come up with an image for drawing, and it came up with three different images, and I wanted to I actually mixed them up because I knew what it had to do with Abraham Lincoln. So when there's a video on YouTube that was talking about Abraham Lincoln, and it mentioned Abigail Adams. They said that the ghost of Abigail Adams, which I thought this was so cool. I was listening to haunted stories about the White House. And so this is not anything to do with politics. It's just history and things that people have heard about over the decades related to the White House. And I would have never thought in a million years that the White House, that there would be hauntings inside of the White House. But they said that there is, that every single The only one we haven't heard from about hauntings is the current one. But I don't want to, I didn't want to go into politics. I just wanted to keep it fun and lighthearted related to the hauntings and the old storytellings. And she is one of the figures they said comes up from time to time inside of the White House. They said there's even noises too inside of the White House related to, um, you know, noises, cold drafts, and things like that, and all kinds of things that take place within the White House related to it being haunted, and all kinds of stories, people hearing ghoulish noises, and it was really a fun video for me to watch, especially at this time of year, something that was really lighthearted. And so, oh my gosh, this one looks pretty good too. Um, it would have been fun. I would have liked to have been a first lady. Actually, I would have liked to have been president. But, um, actually, my president days are not over. They're not over. I would have liked to have been president. I very well could have been. Um, so at least that's something I'm not too old to do. And so, um, we'll get there one day, ladies. One day we'll get there. I hope it's sooner than later. I mean, it keeps getting pushed back to later and later and later and later. And this is just ah, it's like sometimes I want to scream. So, um, we're honoring we're honoring Abigail Adams is what I'm doing with this drawing, and I hope I'm making her beautiful. She is beautiful. That's what I should have included in my image. She is beautiful. And I wanted to do the older image. I have two of them. The second image of Abigail Adams, actually, the ironic part about she has the hair, and it's that period piece hair that looks like wigs, and they've kind of got her looking a little bit like George Washington. And so it's really kind of, interesting, the look that came up. I don't think I want to color her face in right here. Okay, so now she's kind of got on something here that looks sort of like a bed cap. And so this is what came up for me, like this. And so we've got kind of this, it's sort of like a bed cap. And I think that's what women wore back in that day, was a bed cap looking type thing. So I'm hoping that I can depict this in a fashion of the period back in the early mid 1700s. That's kind of what I'm going for here. And so there's it's got a bunch of fuzzies on it, and so I think we'll I've got my pencil turned sideways here like this. And okay, let's work on this the ruffle. I'm going to ruffle this up a little bit more. Now, some of this here is her hair. So the hair is kind of blended in with the cap. And so we're going to there's like a little rubber band thing here that's got this. And so she's got on this beautiful cap here that covering up her hair like that. So if you're new, I'm going to say this just once. Hit the subscribe button. I don't want to be a pain in the neck about that. So just a one-time reminder here. Oh my gosh. She is beautiful. She is so beautiful. But the image does have her looking a little bit tired. Maybe it's the job. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see if we can get in more of this hair. And I mean, this side has kind of, there's just a lot of squiggly, uh, I mean, she's got on this really pretty, poofy kind of a hat. Um, it almost looks like a bed cap, kind of. Um, okay, let me see. I think I've got some comments here I'm missing. Well, hello, Aisha Nakala. Aisha Nakala, hello. Okay, so did I hope I didn't make her too. I might have. Okay, so let me see here. And so we've got kind of this. It looks like she's almost like she's got on a bathrobe, possibly, or it's a folded over robe type thing, is what she's wearing. Um, I kind of want to call it a bathrobe, but I'm not so sure if that's what it is. But it kind of looks like a Sherpa fuzzy type of a bathrobe that she's got on here. And so, okay, so I'm going to work on the arm piece here, like this. Take it on down like that, and we're going to work it down like that. So we've got kind of some loop-de-loos like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Okay, so we're going to take it down like this. And okay, so I want to take the name is fun too. Absolutely fun. The name Abigail. I just always think I love the name Abigail. I always thought it was so pretty. I thought if I had another daughter, I would actually name her Abigail because I love the name. Okay. Maybe I need to do actually this is what I need to do more of, like this, kind of to depict the we've got a shaky little fuzzies going on here. So that's what I'm working on here is the shaky fuzzies. And so it's not a perfect line, and it looks kind of like they took a picture of her in a bathrobe, which is kind of interesting. Well, this is what the computer came up with, though, so keep that in mind. The computer came up with this image for me. I let the computer pick my images and draw out some of the images that I use. And so this is what they came up with. And this looks really close. And so there's like a lot of hairs here on, this is her hat that she's got on. And so I need to kind of mess this up a little bit with squiggly lines because that's the kind of hat she's got on. And I'm still not clear if it's a bed cap or if it's a period timepiece. It may very well be just a period timepiece cap, even though it does look like she is wearing a bathrobe. It really does. It really does look like she's wearing a bathrobe. So, or a smoking type jacket possibly. Which I never knew that women wore smoking jackets back then, but maybe they did. I was reading something that said women back in the, oh yes, I remember. I had looked something up and it said back in the day it talked about smoking was a status symbol, actually. And so maybe that's a topic we're not supposed to talk about. The algorithm may not like that. And so I shouldn't go down that road any further, but I mean, that is true though, because it was pitched to us when I was a kid, And every show, including Bewitched, all the children's shows had smoking on it. You know, for me, when I was a child, all of them had smoking on the shows, and that was a time when people smoked inside of the post office, and inside of office buildings. And so, I mean, it's just a fact of life there. For me anyway, it isn't for the people nowadays. Times are different, you know, and I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing. Even in restaurants too, people were smoking. I know they smoke less, you know, because people mentioned it's like, well, you're exposing me to something that I'm not making a choice to be exposed to. I get that. You know, it's like, so that's all I'm going to say about it. You know, some people are fine with it, others aren't. And, so that's all I'm going to say about that. You know, that's a choice. It is legal. It's a choice. That's something I always keep in mind. Okay, so I'm going to do a few little lines in here like this. Okay, so I need to kind of darken it up underneath here a little bit. So we've got kind of a little cross hatching. Oh my gosh, I love this image. How long have we been on here? For 16 minutes. She is beautiful. Abigail Adams, you are a beautiful woman. I am sure the historians of the White House love being haunted by you. Okay, so we've got to put her neck in here too. Let's put her neck in here. So we've got a little shading in here of her neck, like this. And actually, I have two more images that it came up with. Sometimes I feel bad. It's like, okay, I asked 3 different chat helpers, chat robots, to help me out with images. Sometimes I combine them too. I look at 2 pictures at the same time from different helpers and combine them that way too. So I'm not doing anything that, there's no way I could do exactly what it shows me. This one I'm doing right here makes her look maybe about 10 years younger than what it has. The chin is, I think, a little bit, let's see here. Should we take this up a little bit like this maybe? Yeah, I might need to take that up a little bit. And you know what we're going to do? I don't have to erase. We're going to just shadow this in for the neck is what we're going to do. We're going to shadow in a little bit of neck there. Like that. I think that'll work. Does that add a little age on there? Or I don't know. Oh, I don't want to mess it up that much. I had such a nice image going. I don't want to make her look too haunting. Okay, that's good. That's good, right like that. Okay. And so okay, we got to get a little bit of, just a tiny bit of shadowing under the chin here, like that, under the chinny chin. And so that's what we see is the shadowing underneath the chins here. We see that. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit. And okay, so we're going to do just a tiny bit of cross hatching here. Tiny bit, not a whole lot. Get some of those wrinkles in. We all have wrinkles, though. We have to remember that. I know when I was a kid, my school teacher had us get a magnifying glass and look at the fine wrinkles we had on our skin. So I grew up knowing that we all had wrinkles. I knew I had wrinkles that was just like my grandma's. And I did. when I was a kid in grade school. I loved it because it's like it had me identifying with my grandma. And every time I would ask my grandma about something that I thought might be wrong or something, she'd say, "Oh no, that's just normal." Grandma would say, "Oh no, that's just normal. That's normal." Grandma was the best doctor. She'd say, "That's just normal on us." And to this day, I still have grandma in my brain. That's just normal. Grandma was such a gentle, amazing figure. Mom was too when she wanted to be, but um, we'll focus on grandma right now. Um, oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. She is beautiful. Beautiful here. Okay, let's see. So, yeah, that looks, I mean, my goodness sakes, that looks pretty darn good. I kind of want to show you the image that I'm working from so you guys can see what I'm working from and see how different what I made looks from what the images that I'm looking at. But it looks kind of close, um, sort of. And when I say sort of, you know, it's good. Let's kind of bunk this up a little bit. We're going to bunk this up here. We're going to bunk up this little part right. Yeah, that's good. We needed some little fuzzies on here. See, the fuzzies and the shadowing always helps a lot. And so this part kind of just has everything sort of left, you know, left. Oh, it's sort of just kind of like a what kind of image do I want to call it? It's got a bunch of like cross hatching in it mostly. That's what it looks like, a bunch of cross hatching. And there's even some background scrapings and things, but I don't think I want to add that on here this time. Um, oh, the face looks really good like that. With the through the camera, it looks really good. Okay, let's add a little bit more on there. You know, a little more cross hatching. You know, we've got to add the, you know, it's the character aging. You know, it's kind of like scars on a person. I always called mine character scars. So I've got a lot of scars, both internally in my brain and externally. Now my external scars are something that can be seen. The internal scars are not. So be gentle, please, with me. Um, I try to hold things together, but sometimes I feel like I'm a big failure at that. I try. Okay, we're doing a little shadow there. Oh, that is, I love it. The more I work with it, the more I add a little bit age to her, and that's what I was looking for, is a little bit more age because I'm speculating she's anywhere from 65 to 80 years old in this image, what I'm seeing, and so my inspiration was, hang on a second, I think I got another comment here I missed. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Omizu Paints. Hello. Hello, Omizu Paints. Thank you. Omizu. I hope I said that right. Omizu. Omizu or Omizu, spelled Omizu Paints. Thank you. I've been watching a lot of you guys too. I think I'm subscribed to a lot of the painting people, and a lot of the painting people are the ones I am mostly inclined to watch right now. I am so thankful for a lot of the artists that have come up that are have Bob Ross inspirations in mind. I know I carry the Bob Ross soft spoken inspiration, and someone else had mentioned Charles Schulz. Now, Charles Schulz is who wrote Peanuts, and they said that they were talking about, okay, Omizu paints. And now Charles Schulz, they said he actually, when he did his Halloween with Charlie Brown, he said that it was not his intention to ever scare kids. And so I that's just something I wanted to share. It's just happened to be something I was watching recently about the history of Charles Schulz and Charlie Brown. And so I think that some of that might come out with some of the stuff that we see on the internet, because oh my goodness, some of the things that I remember from the beginning of YouTube is these images. And I'm sitting here looking at an image, and then somebody has this ghost that comes up and scares the living daylights out of me. And that's why I mentioned it. And I was thinking, if they did that to a kid, I can imagine. I don't recall ever seeing any videos like that of where someone was showing something like that to their kid, where there was a big boo. But the ones I watched, they had sound. They were short videos, and it would be like some kind of haunting thing, scene leading up to something into a haunted house, and then there would be this boo. And they were popular, though. I mean, it was nowadays it would be fit right in with what people call brain rot. And so we've had on YouTube, we've had the brain rot for a really long time, so I just remember I'm sure the same thing would happen. The same thing would happen if another one came along for me like that. It would scare me. There was something else I was thinking about too. The shows Amityville Horror, and that's one of the scariest ones, I think. Amityville Horror and Nightmare on Elm Street. And oh my gosh, the one with Linda Blair and Sissy Spacek. Those shows from the 1970s. Now, in the past 3 years, some of those shows have played. Now, I'm in a place where I don't want to be screaming. However, I was watching the movie one night and I thought, okay, I'm going to watch it. And the scene that came up was one of those scenes that has you screaming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't finish watching this movie because I'm just going to be screaming watching the movie. Just like it's because time had passed and I hadn't watched the movie and memorized where all the scary scenes are at. So if you memorize where the scenes are at, then it's like, well, it's no longer scary anymore. You know where all the scary scenes are coming up, unless it's switched up and changed a little bit or something like that. But I had to stop watching it because I thought, I don't want to sit here watching this movie and be screaming throughout the whole movie, and then having a neighbor down the way thinking that something is going on that's not, when I'm in the room just watching a scary movie and screaming at the scary movie. But that's the whole thing, is that I loved watching the scary movies when I was young. I guess it was just that it was fun to be scared. That's the only thing I can think. It was just fun. It's like the roller coasters. I loved roller coasters when I was younger. I wouldn't want to do it now. I would throw something out of place so far that I'd probably have body parts falling off the side of my body and need a whole new hip replacement, and who knows what else I'd be needing. If I went on a roller coaster, someone should be telling me I need to have my head examined if I go on a roller coaster nowadays. And so, let me look here. Well, hello, Howard County Observer. Hello, I remember you. You are, I have actually chatted with you before. And I want to share this with you guys too. The other day, when I went to get on the live streams, I had a little number came up, and the little number, it said, Would you like to go join 466 people who are live streaming right now? And so I was a watcher at that time. I wasn't doing any live streaming. And I thought that is an interesting number. 466 people are live streaming. Now, why is it that I don't get all 466 people live streaming? Activated. What do you mean activated, Howard County Observer? I liked you, actually. It was the person that you were actually I did. I liked let me look at your channel because I liked you. Wait, were you on wait a minute. Howard County Observer. Okay, did I mess my chat up now? What did I do? I always do this. I always mess up the laptop. Okay, let's see if I can do this again. I can't even get into my own. Half the time I can't even. Sometimes I feel like I don't even have control of my own moderation. I don't speak to Scott anymore. We went. You did. You know what? Scott is the guy. Wasn't he the one from Ohio? I wanted to like that man so bad. I wanted so bad to like him, but I couldn't because he was horrific. He's one of these people that I felt like I want to like the man. Yeah, Indiana. Okay. Yeah, I'll go if I can figure out how to get over to your channel. Okay, let me see. Go to channel. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to subscribe to you. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to subscribe to you. And so, yeah, maybe I just won't say anymore because the thing is, it's like I liked the, I liked the, was he the one that went by, he had, he was the guy that drove in the truck all the time and he was in an accident, right? Oh, he went by under duress. Was that the guy? Is that the right one? Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, he's the one I want, but he just kept insulting me all the time. And it's like, I'm not going to sit in your chat and be insulted all the time. And then he would be like, I don't want to read your messages. And it's like, well, why are you on YouTube then? Why do you come on YouTube if you don't want to read people's messages? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me why you would come onto YouTube. And I just thought it's like you hear someone and you see someone and you want to like them. You called him out on it? Yeah, I know. I mean, he just got to where he was mean and he's like and so I thought he was mean to me. And he said, oh, he was trying to get with me and there was another woman. There was a young girl. She wasn't a girl, she was a woman, but she was probably in her 30s. All Scott wanted to do was hook up. This is what Scott did to me. So what he said was, he's like, well, yeah, exactly. He's not the only one. See, because he was doing this preaching stuff and he was talking about that Bible stuff. And yes, women are property to him. And he's kind of butthurt over, I don't know. He's butthurt over not being able to find a woman on the internet is what he's butthurt over. So he told me he wanted to know where I was at. And he says, well, if I come down to where you're at, you mean you won't meet me? And I said, no, I'm not going to meet you. I'm not on the internet to be meeting anybody. I don't know why you would want to meet with me. There's no purpose for it. And so I'm not going to say which direction, any given direction, but I'm going to say he's probably 12 hours away from me. So he was just trying to hook up with me. Then he's talking about, I told him, I said, I'm old. I'm older than you. He's like, I don't care. And it's like, that's weird. And that he's not the first one who's told me that. But you're right. Women are property to that man. And the way he talks in the there's a lot of them on the internet who talk that same way because they follow the scriptures and they think it's in the scriptures. Now you want to talk about brainwashing, because everybody, well, yeah, I mean, we can all, I'm sure people have called me brainwashed before with my sentiment and thinking, but I am willing to budge. I am willing to negotiate when it comes to thinking. I've done a lot of that. I've done a lot of soul searching and, things related to my marriage and things like that. And it's like, I see the wrong in my ways and I take personal responsibility for parts and things that I did that may have been wrong. But sometimes it's like when you have a certain generation, I'm just going to call that a certain generation of some males who want to follow the scriptures indoctrinated that hard to control. He does that. He came to your house to meet you? Okay, but you're a dude, right? You're a guy. But you're a man, though, right? I mean, I would. You guys are closer, or I mean, I was thinking that you guys knew each other somehow, or that's what I was kind of feeling like that you guys knew each other. Oh, you're a cop. Yes, you're a cop watcher. Okay, so are you a First Amendment auditor or just a cop watcher? I mean, there's going to be a difference, I think, because it's my understanding that, yeah, I never could find your channel though. So when you came to my channel, now I can find you and watch your videos. I can watch them. People call me that, but I don't claim it. Okay. Now there are people on YouTube though who use the First Amendment auditing for the purposes of clickbait and views. I mean, the word audit in and of itself is actually a kind of a popular word, and I think that hinges off of the Roseanne show from 30 years ago, back in the 1990s, because she has a little segment on her show where she said, well, the IRS audits people, maybe we should audit the government. And I mean, there is some funny logic to some of the things that that comes out of that. I mean, I've said the same thing too before. It's like, well, gosh, if it's a fact, which I don't know if it is or not, I've never been a police officer, I've never been a lawyer, but I've made a silly, stupid little joke, and I've said, well, my goodness, if police and lawyers are going to lie to us, then we should lie to the police and lawyers, shouldn't we? But it's a dumb thing. It's really a dumb thing to do. I just want the government accountability and transparency. I don't care about the popularity. Oh, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. I the okay. My thing is the price is rising higher. The government is allowing this to happen. I am like excruciatingly, painfully passionate about this. Why is our government allowing prices to rise higher on the American public? And it is. So I mean, because there's fraud, waste, and abuse happening someplace for the government to allow for the private sector and Wall Street. Oh, I have one I'm going to tell you about that this is a discovery for me, because I'm not a party person, because I feel like both parties are a monopoly. Now, but there's people who have gone down hard on the left, and I get why they've gone down on the left. Anyway, you have to get back to work. You might be listening a bit. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for stopping by. But this is what I was thinking. It's like, okay, they announced recently, the president did, Trump announced recently about in vitro fertilization. There's 3 areas I came up with of people who are going to be getting IVF treatments, and that's the migrants, welfare, and rich folks. People, and 4, and LGBTQI are eligible for in vitro fertilization. Men are now imagine that um because if it's true, and I have to say that because I don't know if it's true. Oh, if I didn't tell you, if you're still here, Howard County Observer, this is actually Abigail Adams. It's supposed to be a picture. I asked artificial intelligence to help me come up with an image, and it did. And so I'm just looking at the computer screen and then drawing something here. That's how I always draw my images, is looking at something else. And I could probably do something similar, looking at a real human being. I've practiced enough. But let me get back to this other nonsense clownish part here. So I'm Oh, another discovery too is a place for mom. Apparently, Congress is going to be is in the process of investigating a place for mom right now because of the fact that there's a lot of fraud with that, and there's some places I found on the internet have said it has ties to Amazon. Others says no, it doesn't. So I don't know what's true. I think what they want to avoid right now is this direct accusations, where I know I've been coached enough times to say I have to use the word alleged so that, for legal purposes, I guess. So there's alleged relationship to a place for mom, but I have some phone call evidence on my channel that I'm slowly trickling out. I think all videos are out right now. I think all of them came out, and it's just a conversation I had with one of the scam callers. And so they bombard me. That's what they did, was they bombard me with phone calls, and they changed the number, and I should have recorded the one that said AT&T, but I think what I did was I blocked it and reported it to Google, because I thought if I don't get a grip on this, I'm going to end up having to change my phone number again. And so but let me recap on they've been hollering about the migrants have been getting Medicaid and Medicare, and the president announced about IVF. I totally agree with you, the government accountability, because there's an inequality that is taking place where that is causing prices to rise higher. And I don't trust any company when they say that they're going to just lower prices, because they're doing the shrinkflation, which means that they shrink the packaging so they put less product in it and they hike the price up, and that's happened. And so over time they have their hands out and they want money from, but they all, most of them have ties to Wall Street, though. A big majority of them have ties to Wall Street. Now the stores that don't have ties to Wall Street, who have gone back private again, they're still a public business, but they're private. They seem to have things a little bit more managed, and it seems like they can bring prices down lower for some reason. That they're not as, even though they're not profiteering. They're not in it for a profit. They're in it for the well-being of the area and the American public. And so I kind of like that aspect better. But it's like the thing with housing, Wall Street is doing it. And this means that the migrants are working. Anybody who's doing hospitality right now, and even the for-profit ICE centers. The ICE centers are about, the ICE detention centers are on Wall Street. They're on Wall Street. That's what this is about. They're on Wall Street. And so that little tidbit came up. I knew that we have the for-profit prison system. It's been around for quite some time. I've been aware of that for a long time, actually. I just didn't know who it was trading under. Now, my thinking is that when the private sector just raises prices higher, that hurts everybody. That even hurts the business. It hurts the private business sector so much to the point it puts the private business sector out of business. I mean, I think right now that Walmart and Sam's Club are in jeopardy of going out of business. I really do. I think they're in for a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company. And so when they start acquiring and splitting up the company, they're in trouble. So that means they're too big. They would be considered a too big to fail type of a company. And I think a lot of these franchise businesses are the same way, because when people talk about in chat in different places at $10 for a hamburger, and um, they're asking for things that are not realistic for the American public to pay for. That's with healthcare, and that's also with any insurance, that be that automobile insurance, be that healthcare insurance, and be that housing, the rentals, and buying a home. And it's like, why are we being punished? So we have not had government transparency and accountability. And so when the politicians say things, they word it in such a way that it's politically correct, because they don't want to say the wrong thing to make the corporations mad. If they start saying things to make the corporations mad, then what happens is that they get attacked. Now, I don't know why Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren didn't get attacked. They just didn't. I don't know why they didn't get attacked, because I was always told that when you start talking bad about the money people, um, then they go after you. They go and ding, yeah, you came right in on cue there, ding. They do. They go after, when you talk bad about them, they will want to attack you. Now, there's a lot of now, well, the other thing too is that a lot of Wall Street is decentralized, because nobody is hired by Wall Street. Wall Street does not hire people. It's just an avenue of money to go through. I believe they do put a lot of money through out into the private sector, and pay people for things through advertising and through creating temporary jobs, but they're not sustainable jobs. I always call it the swing economy, or the bobblehead economy, but it's not something that's sustainable. So it's like the grant money that comes out of Washington, D.C. creates temporary jobs for people. But it's not a sustainable real job. And so, but at the same time, then we have prices rising higher. Then we have migrants who are working for Wall Street. I have to wonder, and I've always said, if someone can talk to foreign countries and negotiate with them and let them know that this is going on, and it's like, I know I don't like it myself personally, but see, if we look at just the government alone, I mean, the government says they put money out, and then they just forget about it. They said the same thing with foster kids. They put foster kids, place them in a home, then they just forget about them. And, but the foster kids have said that the United States has one of the worst foster care systems in the world. The kids think bad things happen to them. And, and, so I agree with Howard County Observer a lot. And that was the thing that I agreed with some of the things I think that Scott, the guy he was talking about, but, there was just, I couldn't stomach what he was saying, though, because of what he was saying about women. I just couldn't stomach it. Because there's a lot of that on the internet that we deal with. And, I get tired of being told to just get off the internet. It's like, now it's like we battle with other people's issues. Oh, you doubt we agree on a religion, though? Well, I'm actually what would be called a non-believer. I'm a non-believer. Now, I grew up in a Christian home, but I am now a non-believer in religion because I just have my opinions. If people want to do religion, they are perfectly fine to do it. I just don't agree with religion myself. So Hensley, get tired exactly. There's too much crap going on. I don't care anymore. The evil powers on both sides won. You're right. You don't, yeah. I don't agree with religion either. Now, I know you might not think that from some of the videos that I make, but there's a purpose for why I make the videos. Um, my shorts that have religious content in them. Just because I make something about religious content does not mean that I am a, oh my goodness, you should see, yeah, it doesn't mean that I am a believer of religion. It it shows something else. It fleshes out something else within the YouTube algorithm, is what it's fleshing out. Um, and it's like, well, it's there right now. I just as well utilize it, right? If it's there and it's a popular topic, I just as well utilize it. That's what I'm thinking. I can't really do things that I started out doing on YouTube 19 years ago. So I just as well flesh out the trends that work and utilize them. That's what I'm thinking. And it's like if I can do a half-assed drawing or something here and utilize, well, the artwork, the drawing community is much larger than the other arts community that I was in. And, I have fun drawing. Actually, I have more fun drawing, I think, than the other thing because the drawing, I can get it done in a shorter period of time. And it's things that a lot of people can do, apparently millions and millions. It's a much larger niche. The drawing community is a very large niche of people. And I feel like I can provide a small, I call it edutainment, EDUTAINMENT. I heard someone else said that the other day, and it's not the first time I've heard that. So it's an educational entertainment of sorts. And I thought, there is a education and entertainment at the same time in drawing. So if you can draw something, I mean, you I mean, my goodness, it's not even that hard to, if you guys want to draw little hearts, let me do this. We'll just do a little heart right here for Abigail Adams. A little heart like that. If you just wanted to draw little hearts, a bunch of them on a piece of paper, you could do that. And that's a drawing. It's a pencil sketch drawing. And see how fast I did it. did you think that's funny? Yeah, religion. I'll tell you, Howard County Observer. Back in 2014, 2015 time frame, I had a different YouTube channel, and it had a lot of subscribers, and it had a lot of views. It had over 225 million views, and I had at the peak I had like close to 380,000 subscribers. I deleted everything because of the fact that, oh, I can call you HCO. HCO or HCO? Okay, HCO. I will call you HCO. And so a lot of terrible things happened out of that channel. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to leave YouTube altogether. And I did. I deleted everything. And I deleted everything on that channel because I had a Google employee actually tell me, they said, well, your channel was kind of doomed from the beginning. It wasn't going to work. And I couldn't figure out what they were talking about, but I was learning what they were talking about at the same time. And so the Google employees, if you ever get one, they are honest with you. They'll be blunt, straight up honest with you. Even though they may not know their own self why something doesn't work, but they'll be honest with you. Okay, I'll call you HCO. HCO, yeah. That's just like me, LS, I guess. LS would work for me too. If people don't want to say light star, they could just do LS. Everybody asks, what do you want to be called? What's your pronoun? It's like, I don't like the pronoun thing. I mean, they could do either light or star or LS. Actually, star is just a one word, where LS, you have to make your tongue move twice. And so, or L or S. S would work, or L would work, or 10. Any of it would work. To me, I'm not that picky. I mean, my name has been spelled incorrectly my whole life related to my real name, and I just had to learn to get used to it. It's not a big deal, actually. When I was a kid, it was a big deal. As an adult, it's really not a big deal. My birth name was spelled wrong. My last name was spelled wrong. My married name was spelled wrong. Um, and so, just don't call you late for. Oh yes, I've heard that one before. Just don't call you late for dinner. Yeah, yeah. I know it's these past 5 to 10 years have been insanely crazy. I mean, excruciating. I mean, it's just been crazy. It's like never in a million years would I have thought that the internet would go in this direction. Now, one thing I said, where did oh, I think I said it to my politician or somewhere. Oh, a lot of people have been talking. Well, you know how on Uber they said that they all shut their phones off and things like that at the same time, so they manipulated the pay for that. And that's the thing with people talking about deleting accounts is that then the people who have investments in the internet, they're not going to pay out because they're counting on the broad American public to do things, so now if people are paid, that's different. If they're on a payroll, that's different. They can just be on the internet. And then there's people who are just on the internet. That's how I started and how I was on the internet from the beginning. I was just on the internet doing things that I liked doing and I wasn't being paid. And I do kind of feel that there's less stress in not being paid because there's such a big competition. And I'd always said that. I thought, gosh, if I had another source of income somewhere that was steady coming in all the time, or I just got paid like a salary or something like that, doing something else, and didn't feel like I was competing with someone. I think then I could just do YouTube and just not feel in competition. Now, the original niche I was in, there was a guy from Canada, and he actually turned it into a competition instead of just trying to work with people. And so that came about through Facebook. Plus, he was from Canada, and I always thought, well, YouTube always told us that, well, this is based on advertising, and so typically, yeah, there's going to be some national advertisers, and maybe there's going to be some local advertisers too, if you do the local thing. The local thing, bad idea. You don't want to be doxxed. And if you've ever, now here's where I skirt down the area of saying, I have talked about it before, being doxxed, because that's not fun. So those who come out of the gaming community, they get angry about something and then they want to call the police on you. So when they know where you're at, they want to call the police on you for things because they're mad that because it's competitive. The internet's competitive. YouTube is competitive. And so if you don't do things that they want you to do, even though you're not in their network, they get mad at you. And the they is, who knows? Could be someone from a foreign country using a Google phone to call the police on you. So if you tell your address, that's why I advise people now. Yes, it absolutely, it's called swatting, and I've been swatted before. And it's not, oh, see, I went into another arena outside of YouTube, and that was, well, it was related to the local city and the mayor, and he was allowing all these home associations to be built and all these housing units. And I was saying I didn't like the home associations. And someone started sending the police to the house that I was in. I'm not there anymore, but they were sending the police to the house because of what I was writing on Facebook. The home association was calling the police on me. So think about that. Think about the civil rights. I mean, is there an attorney anywhere who would consider the side of a home association that is self-private corporate governance? They're breaking real estate. They're taking real estate logic and applying it to people who have property in there that is not rental property. So there's a mix of people that, when they started out, they said there's only supposed to be 20% of investment property. However, it ends up probably to be more lopsided to where the investment property outnumbers the people who actually own homes. And so I started telling on social media what they were doing. I started writing on social media what the home association was doing, and they didn't like it. Well, I never knew who the home association was, though, because it's just a bunch of old biddies who, they collect money and they can just change however, just depending on the time of year and what type of cycles that we are in. They can be collecting. A small home association by itself can collect maybe 50,000. So if you have a a subdivision of 200 people, they could make maybe $50,000 a year, whereas the large ones can make millions. And that's how they build the houses. That is how Wall Street builds the houses, is from the home association dues. That is how they build the houses. So they lie. They lie to the people moving into the planned unit developments, into the subdivisions and the master associations. And they use that money. So you pay city taxes, county taxes, which the city taxes can be anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 a year. County taxes, same. Maybe both can be close to $2,000. Plus you pay home association dues. And so they lie to you, and they tell you at the beginning, they'll say, oh, well, as more people buy in, the price is supposed to go lower. Well, it doesn't. And then one of the home HOA people, she says, oh, well, if I want to, we can raise the amount. And one of them did. During the 2009 housing collapse, they raised the HOA dues. Now, we were paying, I think it was around $400 a year. They raised it up to $450 because they had empty lots, and they charged the residents for the empty lots. That's how they got it paid for. That's how Trump gets his money. That is how Donald Trump gets his money, is setting up the home associations. And you have the same thing in the condos, the same thing in the tall buildings in New York City. That is how he gets his money to build. That's how they get their money to build. And that's why the price of housing goes up higher. Then you have the contractors who want more money. They raise the prices. The government is allowing this to happen. The government is allowing this to happen. And it's like, and I've said over and over again, I've said, The government could place a cap on housing. They could just, the government could just decide, well, let's lower rent down to $50 a month. For me, I think it should only be $25 a month. Well, if they did that, the people who are, exactly, I agree with you. It is capitalism, it's greed, and it's stealing. It's stealing off the future of America. It is theft. That's why they raised the rate of Medicare from 62 to 65, because there's less money in Medicare. That's why they keep talking about Social Security going bankrupt. That's why it's not going bankrupt. Capitalism in the private sector is stealing the money by raising prices in the United States. Now, the politicians word it differently from how I word it. I'm more of a blunt force in that they're purposely raising the price. What does the word America mean to you, Lightstar? The word America to me, well, it's not capitalism. I thought we had freedoms to be able to, for the American public. It's not about capitalism. The word America for me meant freedoms for the people living here, not for an entity that is capitalism, that's kind of like a residual leftover from 400 to World War II era time, where Hitler was doing his thing. You know, when people were coming over from Nazi Germany, that's what they were fleeing from. You know, they were fleeing to different places around the world to get away from capitalism, to get away from oppression and suppression. And freedom to me, for me, is for me to be president of the United States one day, possibly, you know, and I use that figuratively, knowing that it's not realistic for me to be president, but I could still say it though. So I thought America was supposed to be the land of the free for the people, not for people to come in and rape, pillage, and plunder. And that's what we have right now, is a rape, pillage, and plunder taking place. Did I know that America was named in 1507 by a German cartographer in what is now known as Brazil? No, I didn't know that. A German cartographer. That's interesting. So that meant that the man from Germany, well, that see, we don't hear a whole lot about that. That the Germans, well, they went to different places. They had to go to different places. I mean, because of what Hitler was doing. Named after Amerigo Vespucci, the guy that explored most of South America. I think I remember hearing about him, Amerigo Vespucci. I know we had a lot of explorers. Maybe I'll have to, that could be a fun name to look up that guy and maybe see what he looks like in a drawing and see what AI comes up with that. This one turned out really good. Let me see if I can, I want to show, oh, let's see, okay, hang on, I gotta shut my light off. I want to show you what she looks like. There's what she looks like on the screen. And there's mine. So it's not exact, but it's close. Let's see, what one was this? Oh, I think this one was, no, that wasn't Gemini. I think this one was, oh, it was ChatGPT that came up with that one. Gemini came up with a younger version, and it does look like her. But it's so much fun to do these drawings. I would draw some explorers because I think it's fun to, I don't know, I feel like there's an educational value in doing drawings. So the US Americans stole the word America from all Americans for ourselves, kind of like we did to the Native Americans of this land in the USA. I don't think we did. I who who is the keeper of these words? I mean, who is the keep? We're a bunch of thieves. No. Well, that's what I'm wondering, though. Who? Okay. Well, the north part of the world is called the northern hemisphere. The southern part of the world is called the southern hemisphere. Uh, so, okay, I'm curious. Well, the thing that one of the things I've heard is that other countries call names differently. So they don't. So, for example, any of the other countries, if they make their own maps, they may not call America, North America, or South America. They could have a different name for it. I mean, that's my understanding. And I don't know if they do that or not, but it's my understanding that some of them do. I don't know about the United States specifically. And I know Canada does not even recognize itself being in the Northern Hemisphere. Canada recognizes just as Canada. They say they're not America. Canada doesn't recognize itself being in America. That's my understanding, which I find that very strange, but I don't know why they, and yeah, I get the joke with Canada that basically their prime minister is kind of like a governor of Canada because they're still under British rule somehow, even though they're their own country. There's no country named America because there are 35 countries located in America. 35. Yeah. Oh. Is that the old map? Is that an old map? Howard County Observer? I mean, it very well could be. One of the things that when I was watching the White House video about the scary times inside of the White House, they said that some people thought that the figure they saw that looked like Abraham Lincoln could have been a historical reenactment person, but they said usually it turned out not to be. Of course, a specific word that describes division, a specific word that country describes division. Oh, I know the United States. Well, okay, we started off with 13 colonies. And so 13 is the 13 stars and stripes on the flag for the original 13 colonies, which ties in with the 13th Amendment. 13th Amendment and indentured servitude. Indentured servitude. If you have one of 12 eggs, how many cartons of eggs do you have? Well, if you have a carton of 18 eggs, you're missing 6 eggs because they do make cartons that have 18 eggs in them too. So maybe you're missing 6 eggs and the store cheated you. Oh, if you if you have one of 12 eggs, how many cartons of eggs do you have? Yeah, you just have 1 egg. If you have one of 12 eggs, if you have one of 12 eggs, you'd only have 1 egg. But you'd still have the carton, though. You'd have 1 egg in a carton of 18 egg holes. Wouldn't you? You'd have 18 little egg nests in there. 18 or 12, just depending. Now, they do sell half of a dozen of eggs, too. Yeah, you're right. Basically an empty carton, yeah. Um, well, I keep making the analogy too about back at the turn of the century from the 1800s to the 1900s that you could buy a house for $3,000. And so I keep it at 1,000 square foot house just because that's simpler. So I say, okay, back then you could buy a house for $3,000, 1,000 square foot house. Now for that same 1,000 square foot house, then it costs $500,000 for that same 1,000 square foot house. Not only that, you have the apartment rentals. Well, these greedy people are making the money from the rent because housing is a monopoly and it's ran by Wall Street. So how come Wall Street has so much say so in the housing market? And the same thing with the bankers running this, because the thing is if they weren't allowed to do things with their interest rates the way that they do it, then then they would go out of business basically. I mean, they need our money, but now when poor people have no money to put in the bank, then and they keep just raising prices on people, then of course nobody has any money to put in the bank because people are living beyond their means, because capitalism is forcing people to live beyond their means. And at the same time, most American citizens can't just go out and get a credit card and live off of credit. That's a bad idea. Hello, Roman. Yeah, to me, it's frustrating because I don't think life is not supposed to be hard, but capitalism is purposely making things hard on the American public. And I don't know if that's what Donald Trump is in office for, is to be a complete clown, then I understand what he's doing then. If that's his sole motivation is to bunk things up like that and make turn the government into a clown show because he knows that things are wrong that way. I mean, he's lost 6 businesses already, and if that's how he's going out with his retirement, that man is having a load of fun. That's what I'd have to say about Trump. He is just having the best party for himself, his best retirement party off of 2 different presidencies. I mean, I mean, if he's really a billion, some people say he's not a billionaire, others say he is. I have no idea. But he's having one of the best retirement parties on his way into his aging. He's going to get a paycheck the rest of his life. He's going to have Secret Service the rest of his life. And he's just having a big old goofball show on the way out with what he's doing. But if that's his motivation, because maybe he really does care about the country. If he's simply an actor and his kids are actors, um, okay, you can call us Americans if you want to, but I cringe at it. Just saying, I believe anyone living or residing in the Americas is an American, not just a U.S. American. I'm not even sure what to call it. You know, the USA is the United States of America, but we've never called ourselves, I'm a United States. That sounds so ridiculous. We've called ourselves Americans. Well, then we end up with this nonsense of, well, the people from South America are like, well, we're Americans too. We're going to come up and we're going to sponge off of you. Then everybody in America, but Canada doesn't really want to own us or own up to that they're our neighbor north of us. So, I mean, right now I think Canada thinks that our country's a big embarrassment. But I think that what Donald is doing actually is, I think he knows what he's doing, because it's like, I get it, what he's doing, because of the fact that he is pointing out the flaws in government and he has the means to be able to do it. Yeah, I can't, well, I know, I always liked Canada. I never had anything against Canada and I still don't. Um, I mean, and I never did against Mexico either, because there came a point for me, it was like, well, wait a minute. Why are they exploiting the Mexicans? Why is it that they're bringing Mexicans into the United States to build houses cheaper? Well, that has to do with NAFTA or the USMCA. I'm not, they're both the same thing. When they did the North American Free Trade Agreement, well, they opened the door for free trade of bringing people into the United States even more. So I mean, and the thing I think about, I mean, it's going to have to be very, very expensive for people who are migrants to live in the United States. Now, how they're doing it though is they just keep building, so they get the money from the people who are in the home associations, and the renters is where they're getting it too, because the renters, they don't. I know what, when I was younger and renting, I didn't think about it, but with the cost going up, I'd think about it now. With the cost going up, they're just raising the prices on people who are renting and people who are in um, like Airbnbs and hotels and things like that. They just keep raising the prices up on people who can't afford it, and then that's how they raise money that way too. And so then the migrants come in, and then they live rent free, pretty inexpensive, through the H-1B and the H-2B visa programs. And so when they get that first house built, the migrant lives in that house because it's not completely finished. And so they just have them living in the perpetual um, next one being built, so they get some heat and water in there. The migrants live inside of that one being built. They just consistently live inside of the next one being built. And then if they come up for other things though, then they just put them in the Airbnb or in the hotels. Airbnb is probably a better place for them to be living at, because then they're more isolated and then people don't see them, out of sight, out of mind. But see, I know for a fact, because where I used to live, I saw them living inside of the houses. So they were building these 2,000 square foot houses. Some of them were a little bit bigger, maybe 2,200, 2,500 square feet. They were building these huge double-story houses that were really too big for the lot. The migrants were living inside of those houses once they got them built, and then they'd start working at like 3, 4 in the morning. They were literally hammering at 3 and 4 in the morning, doing work, trying to get it done. And sometimes they would live in their van right on site on the property. They'd be right out there. And so the houses would be built so they could actually live inside of the houses. And, so they were basically living rent free in those properties, unless someone else was getting that as a tax write-off, maybe. I don't know. They very well could, because when you have a contractor, a government contractor, they get the money. So they said the government contractors are purposely raising prices their own self. So they're getting really high rates to build this housing. Then they subcontract to migrants, and then they have to buy materials, and so they're shortchanging on the materials. They're using really crappy, cheap products that goes bad in a short period of time, and putting that in the brand new houses. Plus, they're not building them for people who are disabled. I know that's a bad word. What's another word? Aging people with mobility, disability issues. I have to use the word disabled. I don't know what another better word for that is. People who have mobility and disability, aging issues, with, who might need to be in a wheelchair, but they can still live in their home. So they didn't build the homes for wheelchairs or for people, the bathtubs. They just put in bath fitter bathtubs, those plastic bathtubs, and they are shit. Plastic bathtubs are crappy, putty shit. And I have absolutely nothing nice to say about home associations. But let me repeat the thing that I will say about them. That's how entities like real estate people raise their money to build more houses is just by increasing the price on the properties and on the American public. That's how they raise their capital because they can't get loans from the bank to build the houses. That's how construction companies work. The government's going to have to retake a look at this because it's not working. This is not working at all. And so for the sake I am and so I saw how this worked firsthand, and there was a lot of and so I started recording it too. Actually, I'm thinking that the police still have some of the videos that I recorded, because there was a construction man, a couple of them, and they were mad because I went around the construction sites. I was living in the HOA when they were developing it. And so I went bike riding. That's when I was younger. And I was recording. And there was one young kid. He's like, "What are you doing recording?" It's like, "Well, I'm on the street. I'm just taking a picture. I wanted to know why you guys delivered the rafters to the house first before the rest of the house is even built. You don't even have the concrete foundation built." They didn't. They didn't even have they delivered the rafters to the house first, and then they didn't have up any fences. So anybody could go in there and just steal anything they wanted to. Then the rafters sit outside in the rain and get moldy. And it's like, well, no wonder, I mean, hello, Jenny, the Hello Kitty fan. Oh. And so I just ended up going down a huge rabbit hole. And so, you know what happens when you have a channel that's monetized on YouTube and you start doing community advocacy things like that, they attack you. You get attacked by the home association. You get attacked by the money people. You get attacked at every avenue. They come after you because of what you're doing. And even the thing with YouTube being competition to legacy media, but I think YouTube has pretty much knocked out legacy media right now. Legacy media is done. They're toast. And someone had said this about 2 years ago. What they said was, wouldn't it be funny? We just keep going along and doing what we're doing on YouTube. People who want to. Oh, you argue with a guy that calls himself Hello Kitty fan? I thought Jenny was a female. I don't know. I have no idea because I know that, well, the thing is, it's like I have used a lot of different identities on YouTube on the internet over the decades, and as I aged and got older, people started accusing me of being a man. Oh, you're hoping it's not the same person. It might just be someone. Well, kitty is a popular word though too. I know, well, the Hello Kitty thing, at one time, my original channel, I taught crochet on it. Now this one I dabble in a little bit more things. So I've bitten off of, I just took a different direction is what I did. I thought, gosh, Google is a search engine. YouTube's a search engine. I'm going to do some search engine type things on this channel instead, which is going to keep me from getting bored. And so if I do one niche, one topic only, well, I really don't want to do that. I want to do more things, and it's not that I'm just going to do a whole lot more. I'm not going to work myself to death, or volunteer myself to death doing a whole bunch of things. I mean, I'm not getting paid after all. Because if I would have kept my original YouTube channel, it would have still been monetized, but I think that it would have caused problems, and I had to separate that one out. You aren't a bootlicker, are you, Jenny? A bootlicker. And so I just decided that I thought, Well, if I'm going to give this a go a second time, I need to do some verticals. And it's not just that we're recording in vertical, which is popular. The vertical is, which Google suggested to us in the Google Academy, was to do a vertical over to another niche. Or that was the idea I got, was to stretch out and reach out over into some other niches, and then maybe we can make our channel successful that way. And so that's why I do the religion. And see, I like the religion because for me it's kind of therapeutic because of the I didn't want to go to church when I was a kid, but my parents made me go because they said, you live in our home and you're going to do what we tell you to do. And I didn't like going to church. But eventually, as I got older, my mom, she didn't really, I was surprised though when I got older. She really didn't make me go. But I started scheduling my work because I had a teenage job where I was a waitress. I was a waitress for, gosh, like 5 years when I was a kid. And I started scheduling work to go do my job on Sundays, so I didn't have to go to church because all the pastor's son-in-law. I remember his name too. His name was. Should I tell it? Yeah, I'm gonna tell it. His name was D. Hastings. That was his name. That was the name of the pastor's son. Was D. Hastings, and all he had the youth. We were the youth Sunday school, and so we had, like, I think it was 10th, 11th, and 12th grade were all together because less and less students were going. As we aged, less and less people were showing up for Sunday school, so we kind of got combined when as we got older. And all he was talking about was the revelations. And he was saying, I hope God comes in my lifetime and the world ends. That's what he was saying. He was telling us. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, this is what he's talking about, is the world ending. And that's all he talks about. And I don't like it. And and thankfully, I mean, so I started scheduling work because I was scared to tell my mom. Then I finally told her, and she's like, well, I said, I don't like Sunday school. I said, I'll still go to church if you want me to go to church but I don't like Sunday school. So she said, okay. And I was shocked. I was like, wow. I got no disagreement from her. But I just didn't like Sunday school at all. I didn't like confirmation. I didn't like any of the rituals that we had to do. I felt like I was telling a lie when I went to confirmation because I was in the 7th grade. And I remember we were given these little cards that had words on them. And thankfully, mine was short. We had little verses that we were supposed to memorize. And I think I remember what it was. I think it was something like Jesus saves or something like that. Something to that effect. It was just like 2 words that I had to remember when I went up and read at the podium. And I was so mortified to go up in front of the church and read. Because I just was a big introvert, and I was always scared that I was gonna do something to embarrass my parents because that's all I heard in my childhood, my whole life. Oh, you didn't mean to run off to? I don't know. Did she run off? She might still be watching. um, you know. I mean, I kind of keep hoping eventually we'll get, I don't know if we will or not now. I know YouTube doesn't like the drama a whole lot because they've seen what's going on TikTok and, related to a lot of these things. But I know we have the ability for panels, one person to be on our YouTube channels and have discussions and things like that. But I just don't know anybody who would have a discussion. And right now we're kind of at the thing of like doing things by ourselves right now, which I don't think that's a bad thing to do things by yourself. Because of the networks. The networks are a big problem, and I sometimes think maybe that's why things are going how they are right now, is because the networks have kind of harmed the American public related to. Oh, this is what I think about. Okay, church is a network. Church is a huge network. It's on YouTube. I mean, you guys, you know the influencing that takes place out of church. And I know there's a lot of people trolling. I've seen that on TV, on Legacy Media TV. They're just trolling, and so they're churchtainment, maybe something like that. Church entertainment, churchtainment, or godtainment, something that sounds so ridiculous, but something to that effect. You know, it's entertainment church, and I can tell some of these people when they're talking and doing their stuff, they got a little Jim Baker and Tammy Faye Baker vibe going on, and they're talking all crazy. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Like when they start talking like this, like, you know, they got their wife up there, and isn't it Joel and Victoria Osteen? She kind of, I don't know if she does it as much. She might talk a little normal, but some of them, they start talking like this, like they're little children. And I mean, and it just, it sounds so nonsensical. But I think, okay, another one, the music groups are a huge network. Nashville, huge network. Now, someone keeps saying every day on my live stream somewhere, they're like, we need music. We want music. We need music. We want music. But you know what? We can't really have much music right now because of the fact that of the content ID. I think that's what that boils down to. But it's all about the control of the eyes and the ears. Now, I think some of the HOAs, the home association properties, I believe that they tied in with entertainment, though. The HOA properties. Now, if they have that in California, they might. I'm not positive. They might. I don't know if Pacific Palisades had any type of gated community in there or not. Now, they can pick up and they can go live anywhere. They get all kinds of money. Now, I was watching a woman today from Los Angeles. I seem to get a lot of people out of Los Angeles. A lot. Not just a little, but a lot. A lot of people from California. And they're saying that they're not asking for money. A lot of people are. I've never asked for money. I did try it one time. I will admit that. I tried it one time. I thought, okay, let me try it for a couple weeks, a couple months. I'm not going to do it very long because I really don't feel comfortable doing this. It's not something I want to do. But I'm just going to put a thing up and I'm not going to promote it. that's how I asked for money. So I would put up a link and I just wouldn't promote it because I thought I don't really want to do this, so I'm not going to promote it. You know, because that was the direction that YouTube was pushing us, was to ask for donations. It's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to participate in that. And it's like when I started losing revenue and they went to that direction of asking for donations and things like that, you know, it's like, if that's what they expect, I'm not interested. And TikTok has only been around since 2016. It hasn't. So YouTube decided they wanted to compete with TikTok and not pay anybody anything, because TikTok is based off of asking for money, asking the whole community for money. Sorry, I had to get a drink here. Oh. And so I think that the home associations ties in a lot with entertainment communities, because if you've noticed, a lot of entertainment people live in fancy gated communities, and somebody's paying for that. Someone's paying for them to live in those fancy gated communities. What time is it? Is it past my... Oh yeah, it might be starting to get past my bedtime. It was 11:11 not too long ago. But now it's 11:12. I have to get that 1111 in there for the numbers thing. I don't know why. Because some numbers are more popular than other numbers. Oh, now it's 1113. Well, okay, I think I'm done. It'll be fun to see what short I get this time on my video. But I like the picture. Oh my goodness. I really like this pencil sketch here. She does look pretty close to the one on... Yeah, the less I looked at her after I got it done, it looks pretty darn good. Yeah, I toot my horn a little bit every now and again. Maybe I shouldn't do that, but I do. It's like, if I don't like it, why should I expect other people to like it? So, yeah, I'm gonna like it. If I do something like this, I like it. And I do. I really do like this one. Now, there's some of the doodles that I do that I don't like so much sometimes, and some of them I've just wadded up and thrown away. I should write her name on here. Abigail Adams. Yeah. Let's write that down here. Abigail, down here in the corner. Abigail Adams. There we go. I probably should put on here John Adams' wife, the second president of the United States, his wife. That's what it said. I hope it's right. And it looks like it's an image of her in a bathrobe with a shower cap on. So we drew a picture of Abigail Adams, John Adams, the second president of the United States, his wife with a shower cap and a bathrobe on. My goodness. Oh. Alrighty. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys the next time.